It's me, Carla Cruel.
It's Carla Cruel back in the house. Thank you,
Hello.
ladies and gentlemen, boys, girls, young and old, for sticking around waiting. I know you're like, who is Carla Cruel? Like,
Yes.
tell me more about this Carla Cruel. I see her, but I don't know nothing about her. Well, let's find out. Miss Cruel.
How are you? I'm good. I'm good.
Coming back. No,
Sure.
do tell.
So, how do I talk about myself? The best way to talk about myself is, and it sounds like a political answer, but it's truth. I serve people. I just help people since I've always been that way. Like I taught Sunday school starting at 10. I used to be assistant youth pastor. I would like help the youth pastor, worked with them, mentoring, teaching. Hey, Amber, at my old job, mentoring new people when they come in. I love mentoring people, helping people be their best selves. I was a high school teacher, lived in Japan, taught there. But really what I'm about is like making other people's lives better. I feel like my life when I lived in Japan, so like I used to be real intense when I was in my 20s and hardcore Christian and like, and needed things to be super black and white. But at the same time, I was pretty miserable and unhappy and with my life. So I quit my job and moved to Japan. And then while I was there, I had the best experience of my life. I found who I was. I found joy there. And then I realized that my life was kind of too good compared to the way my nieces and nephews were going to grow up and what I knew they were going to experience, or my old students. So I decided to come back, and I wanted to open their eyes to there being more, that things could be better, and show them how things could be better. And so I feel like now running for office, I'm trying to do the exact same thing again. I want Philadelphians to know that they deserve better, that Philly doesn't have to be this way and it can be better. So my goal is to set a new standard as the city council person, right? We expect our city council people, our politicians, to be a little bit corrupt. Like when you hear somebody, a new indictment come down, people are like, oh, there's another one, right? But I feel like we should be appalled and angry when that happens. Like that's your money that was taken away. That was your time. You went to work, they took taxes out, you bought food from the store, the taxes were on that. You've done all of these things and people have squandered your money. If an employee worked for me and I found out my business was going under because of the way they were executing on their work, they'd be fired right away. And so I feel like we need to hold these politicians to a new standard. So I wanted to represent that, right? It's sort of like I did in my old jobs. If anyone wants to ask anyone who's ever worked for me, actually somebody on here live, one of the things that I have been known for is like intensely wanting things to work out perfectly and be done in excellence, right? If you're not even striving for excellence, why do it, right? So that's been my life. And so I just want to bring that into the political spectrum. Make people feel bad about mistreating their constituents.
Kind of interesting how you said that one, because truth be told, it seems like a lot of our people in the industry, our elected officials are now coming under some sort of indictment charges for a variety of things. But I feel like at least at some point in time, after a period of time, is it that we don't care, or do we just got immune to it? Because after a while, you hear it all the time.
You hear it all the time.
Yeah, they ain't gonna do nothing for me. They'll never do nothing for me. Well, the last one, but then you keep voting that same person back into office. Well, at least I know that person. Okay, but you didn't know that person at first. So with that, one thing that actually boggles my mind is things we've talked about in the news. Like you hear, Solomon Jones show and all of these different shows talk about the crime rate in Philadelphia and the gun violence in Philadelphia, and that the poverty rate, we're number one of a major city in poverty, where
our mayor decided to praise himself that we went from 27% to 25%, which is disgusting. But okay, so 25% poverty. Then you have we have one of the highest homeless rates of major cities. I mean, I haven't been to other cities, but I think that we might beat people in our potholes. Like I feel like I can't go through a neighborhood without hitting something that hurts under my car. Right. So I just thinking about the infrastructure, let's just say that. I feel like, how can anyone who's been in office for more than let's say 8 years, let's be nice. You've been in office for more than 8 years. How can you not start asking why this person shouldn't be there, right? Because on your watch, things have only gotten worse. And it's your job to make it better.
That is their job to make it better.
It's your job to make it better.
You know what? It's interesting. I toggle the fence on a lot of, like, I try to give those in office the benefit of the doubt.
Sure.
But what happens is, I feel for some of those people like me, but I know a little bit better. And after a while, you become frustrated because I got you in the office, and here's the thing: now I got a bag to see you. Every time I turn around, you're always busy. But here's the thing: don't get me wrong. I know that in order to get some things done, you got to be busy. I get that.
Right.
I get you got to go to these meetings. You got to go to D.C. You got to go to Harrisburg. You have to do. I get that. I do. But at some point, you're never going to be available.
Yeah. So this is one of the things that, I mean, obviously, I haven't been in office, right? I'm running for office. I'm not somebody who's called my city council person for issues that I had. But what does disturb me is, so now I'm running for office, right? And you go to these community meetings, and sometimes there are other politicians there talking about what they're doing, et cetera, and trying to say, you know, we've accomplished X, Y, and Z. One thing I heard someone say, this was a woman, so this is not the incumbent that I'm running against, said, I come to these meetings to find out what's important to my constituents. And, you know, that's why I stay in touch with your leadership. And I thought, what are you doing that you don't know what your constituents want? Like, why do you have to call the president of the community association to find out what matters? You don't call, you don't walk through the neighborhood, you don't chat with people to keep yourself connected to what's going on. You don't, if you are supposed to serve them and you're spending all of your time with other politicians, how do you ever know what's going on?
Good one. So how do we get y'all to listen to us, to know what's going on?
So we have a democracy. It's supposed to be a representative democracy, right? And on paper, that's what it's supposed to be. So in my head, what that looks like is, in city council meetings, I know that I can't change this, and I'm not even going to act like I can. So I'm going to work around it. This is how I've lived my life. If y'all don't do it right, and I feel like it's a better way to do it, I'm going to work around without breaking the rules to accomplish something better. But why is city council meetings that's supposed to have public comment at 10 in the morning?
Oh.
That doesn't make any sense.
Philly is in the morning. That lasts until maybe 12, 1 on a good day, 2. Mm-hmm. Delaware is at night.
Delaware is at night? Uh-huh.
Delaware is at night.
Which makes more sense. Because right, so you can actually comment. So then it starts making me think, you don't actually want to know what people think. You don't actually want to hear from people because you set up an infrastructure in which you don't need to hear from people. And the only people you're going to hear from are people who are out of work or whose job it is to be down there all the time. Right? And so you get one perspective all the time. So one of the things, I was actually kind of upset. I shouldn't have been because I expect negative things to be said. But the Billy Penn created this thing. It's called the Procrastinator's Guide to the 2019 election. And the only person of all the candidates that they said something completely negative about was me. Even them throwing in, oh yeah, this person is under indictment too. Even his stuff, he was praised better than I was. They were like, she ain't raised no money, which I did. And then they said, I'm saying that I'm gonna work on stuff, but I ain't saying how I'm going to work on it, right? Which I did. What I said was, I want to have town hall meetings in the community on a regular basis. So just like you meet in the afternoon, subcommittees 10 to 2 in the afternoon every day in City Hall, and nobody can get there. In my district, I want to have a meeting set up every day of the week that's in the evening. Right. People can come and talk about the problems and the solutions, right? Because we also assume that the people don't know how to fix their own problems, which we know that's not true, right? Mm-hmm. I think poor people are some of the best budgeters in the world, right? They figure out how to do a whole lot on a little, right? And so Philly keeps saying we ain't got money. Maybe you just got bad budgeters, right? Which is city council, all right? So that's one. But the other thing, besides having those meetings in the evening where I'm getting feedback from the community, the other thing that I get to do is someone calling? Oh wow.
Okay. Philly Hott, you on the air? Talk to me.
Hi, this is the last chance from bank.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So the other thing that I want to do is, you know how a lot of politicians have backroom meetings where you come in and people want to advocate for, we need this law passed, we need this legislation. Instead of you coming to me, you got to say it to the constituents. That's what I want to do. So if you want new bike lanes, okay, great. That's your advocacy group and you want new bike lanes. That sounds wonderful. Ask the constituents. They vote on it. They tell me what they want to do, and then I go and work on that as city council on their behalf, right? I'm a lawyer. I represent my client. I think as a politician, politicians should act just like lawyers do with their clients. Their job is to represent the will of their client, which is the people.
Question.
Yes, hit me.
Is that easy?
It's a paradigm shift. It's a paradigm shift.
I get that, you are there to work for us.
Yeah.
I get that. I get that in order for you to know. It's like.
Is it easy? No.
It's like that white family, that white group of organizations that come into the hood.
Yeah.
And want to tell us how our neighborhood can be beneficial toward get better, but yet you don't live here.
Right.
You drive through, and
yes.
on a good day, you may take a detour because you don't like that view, yes. that site, and that's a shortcut.
Yes.
But you don't even. So how are you gonna tell me once you leave what's good for me when you?
That's exactly right.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you that if you exercise, 5 times a day, it's gonna help you. When you sit up here, how my back hurt.
So I'm gonna give you so to answer one part of the question, do I think it's easy? No, because I'm trying to do something that has not been done before. It should have been done, so it's gonna be work, right? But one of the things that really sticks out to me is when I first moved to Japan, right? I was super open, right? I'm going to another culture. I didn't speak any Japanese at all. So I went there super ignorant, sold everything I had, and moved to Japan, right? So I'm living there. But when I went there, I went with, I might live here for the rest of my life, so I need to understand what's going on, right? But there were other people, because I work with people from England, Wales, Australia, Ireland, all over Canada, right? We all work together. And I noticed that some of the other people that came there, and some other people from America, they would come in and be like, this is wrong about Japan, and they should do this better. And in America, we do it this way, and they should be doing it this way. In Australia, we do blah, 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 blah. And I would say, have you ever asked them why they do it that way? Right? Because you're saying it's wrong without an understanding. So I lived with a Japanese family. When I lived with the Japanese family, there were certain things that were revealed to me that I thought was very interesting. So as an outsider, oftentimes you look at a Japanese couple and it looks like the man has all the power and the woman has no power. Mm-hmm. He tells her what to do and she shuts up and he deals with it. What I didn't know is that behind closed doors in the home, who runs the home?
Oh.
Right? So they have a culture of what happens on the outside, but you got woman telling him when to eat, what to eat, how to eat it, right? These are the clothes you're going to wear when you leave the house. Oh, bring me your salary and I'm going to give you allowance for how much you can spend for your personal things, and I'm going to pay all the bills, right? So until you open yourself up to find out what's on the inside, you can't really offer advice for what to fix because you don't know what's going on.
Right.
That's what I think of it every time someone outside of a community comes in to tell them how to make it better. I get angry when people talk about where I grew. I grew up at 54th and Master, which is Carroll Park area. That's the name for it. And I hear people talk about, I've heard people say, well, the reason there's trash, blah, 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 over the neighborhood, so people who live there are poor, they're not working, they really don't take care of the neighborhood. Well, that's not true, right? So I grew up around there. There's a lot of people who get out there, they own their houses, they get out there and sweep. You have a lot of children who go and they throw trash on the ground. But here's the thing. If you go over to Center City, you have people who own their property, right? They don't have to get out and sweep because it's coming through and cleaning. So you're saying that this neighborhood is dirty is because people don't care about it. But you're not, I'm telling you, because if you should circle or just walk around and watch how many people get out and sweep.
I get that because I grew up North Philly.
Yeah.
Broad and Somerset.
Ooh.
Right up the street from Lehigh.
Yes.
Right down the street from Joe Frazier's
Gym, the boxing.
Now,
yeah.
Furniture store. Gym. So our block was small, but we did come out and clean, even though it was just one strip because across the street is still there, a warehouse.
Right.
But we still cleaned. And I think the misconception is that we all don't, but the thing is, homeowners take more pride because it's mine. I have a lot invested in it versus those that they throw Section 8 under the bus, and I think that's wrong to say that all on Section 8 are lazy and nasty and
that's true.
And don't because that's a misconception.
That is a huge misconception.
But you got to take into consideration a lot of factors because I've seen people clean, and then right after they clean, whatever trash that was from someplace else, the blue comes.
Correct.
You got somebody that don't live in the neighborhood
Correct.
that comes, and I see them.
Right.
Throw the
Trash
out
on the ground.
window, open up the door of the car, leave it on the curb, and then now you make it look like my block, my area is dirty just because. No, it's not. I get that part, but there's a lot of misconceptions about the poor, which is not fair.
Yeah, I think it's nuanced.
I'm poor, so I'm limited to a lot of things.
Sure.
So of course I can't improve my house the
same way you can.
Center City
Exactly.
does, but if on a good day, just overlook some minor. It's still a home.
Yeah.
It's still a home. Like, I do it the best I can. I mean, well, granted, they do it the best they can, but it's still a home. It's no different than that person is spending $250,000 to $1 million in a home. Your home is just my home. Yeah.
So because I'm running against Curtis or running for the seat Curtis Jones has, right? I'm not going to use that. I'm going to use Darrell Clark. Darrell Clark got quoted in the newspaper once saying that Philly is. Well, he basically said the reason that Philly is dirty is because the people are nasty, right? They act like pigs and they throw stuff on the ground. Now, but one of the things that frustrated me is that I was sitting there and I thought about, how many times I got yelled at when I was a kid, and I would have candy in my hand, right? And I would walk to the corner of the block. And you have the sewer hole, right?
Yeah,
you take the trash and you throw it under there, right? Because I was a kid and I thought it was trash. Exactly, I didn't know. So one day my mother sees me doing it and she screams, "What are you doing? Do you know what's under there?" No, I don't. I just I saw a hole and the trash would go somewhere else. I've seen other people do it, so I thought that's what I was supposed to do. So then when she taught me not to do it and I understood why not to do it, it changed my behavior, right? Here's the thing. I worked in Center City. That's fine. I worked in Center City. And I have sat and watched. And it is not just the homeless, the broke first, poor people who are throwing trash on the ground. But Center City gets cleaned all the time. So why can't in my neighborhood, where you have senior citizens getting out and sweeping every day, why can't they also have the privilege of the city come and doing a clean sweep to make sure that trash isn't blowing on their ground? Right? Why? I've watched, this really pissed me off, Parkside Avenue, right? So it gets clean. I've watched people drive up in a car, drop their trash there, and then get in the car and drive away. But you complain, you blame it on the neighbors and call them dirty.
But here's the thing.
Some people are trifling.
I know in Wilmington, the county part of Wilmington, they pay for trash. I can never understand why Philadelphia decides, let me load up my my vehicle with trash to dump it when you're not being charged in Philadelphia to pick up trash. You couldn't wait for trash day?
Yes. That's what it is. And the other thing I found out is if you're doing major construction and you go over a certain amount of bags or certain size, they start charging you. So when sometimes when people have bought a new home and they're renovating the house, instead of waiting and throwing the trash out on the right day, they decide to go dump it somewhere else. Right? Especially if you don't live here and you live in Jersey, you live in Delaware, and you don't want to drive back to Philadelphia for trash day to throw that trash out. Right. Yeah. But then they talk about us, and I'm saying what I hate is the narratives, right? Like there's this narrative that if you're a renter, then you can't afford to buy a home. Mm-hmm. Well, I am a renter. I choose to be a renter, and I like being a renter, right? And because I like moving, right? I don't want to be stuck in one place forever, and I like that choice. I also feel like, no offense to all of you homeowners and no disrespect, but I'm going to say this. Unless you can buy it outright, when you get a mortgage, you're technically a renter for like 30.
Yeah, you are. Miss a payment, miss a couple of payments, and they take it back. Yeah.
Prepares yourself.
Yes, most definitely.
So listen, to each his own, but all I'm saying is that I feel like we have made enemies of one another. We don't know how to work together anymore. They've made us dislike, you got seniors blaming young people blaming old people, blacks blaming the whites blaming the blacks, like everybody's blaming on everybody except for your leaders. Nobody's getting pissed off with the leaders who could change the infrastructure of everything.
Now let's talk about leaders. Because first let's talk about crime so I can talk about leaders. Because I've always been a stickler that I get it. Trust me, I get it. On an average, there are how many houses on a block? 10 to 12 on a block. Mm-hmm. How many neighbors, how many people actually live inside of it? So if you add those up, those are a lot. If you get the people to come from out of the doors and to pay more attention to outside as they do Ray around the corner, okay, right. Rather than gossiping, I get that police can't be everywhere.
Right.
They need residents to help with some of the stuff. But when you see a lot of stuff going on, I found out yesterday that the feds are in Chester, PA. And the person that I had been following had indicated that they said that they are there to clean up and they are not leaving anytime soon.
Oh, so they came back, because I remember way back in the day, they used to hang out over in Chester then too.
They were there and they did their little sweep. I remember because they got my son caught up in that 8 o'clock curfew. Mm-hmm. They called me up and I'm like, yeah, he's supposed to be on his way home. Right. So they let him go. But the thing is, not to blame our elected officials for everything, because I've always said that these are somebody's relatives.
Sure, absolutely.
And I guarantee you,
and it affects everybody.
The person on the stoop that knows everything, now you don't know who's committing these crimes.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, they don't want to tell, but I blame the elected officials to a degree. Yeah. Because after a period of time, I need to know what is your strategy? What is your game plan? What do you have up your sleeve? What is it that you need to be doing or that we need to know about that you're going to help with these crimes? And my thing is, with all this crime and these shootings that's going on, what are you going to do to make sure we're safe? Because on a good day, I'm telling you, people are now walking around
scared.
We're walking around scared, literally, when I leave here, I have to catch the L. Mm-hmm. That park down there, that's why I actually have you seen it. Mm-hmm. I did a tour with Curtis Jones. Mm-hmm. So for those who don't know, 4th District Councilman in Philadelphia, City Council Curtis Jones, we did a tour of that park that he claimed he did not know was his. So we did a tour of that park, and I'm like, did you know on a good day when it's dark, it's pitch dark through there. Yeah. So when you're coming either way, it's bad enough that
I don't mean to hate, but you've been there 12 years and you don't know that's yours, and I've been running for a year.
There's a park that's over there that's dark. Yeah. And then the game plan was to put some lights out there, bright, and then a path of lights through there.
Right.
Well, I think there's maybe 3 lights out there, but there's no path. So the thing is, when you're either coming through to catch that
The
to
train.
get to 63rd and Market Street, you're either walking in that street or you're cutting through that path. That path is still dark. That's
Yeah.
not safe.
Correct.
It's not safe at all. But to know that nothing has been done with that thing that park back there raises a red flag. So there's other city council that can still be doing more stuff, and I get the ones that are on their way out. It's like, forget it.
But you also have at-large people who can be a part of the process. Like there's,
There's
other
a lot,
people.
but what do you want to do for not just that part, for our
For the
crimes,
crime.
to make sure that our children are safe crossing, coming back to and from school? I mean, all these daggone shootouts that's going on, and God forbid, like, what is your plan?
So, can I have a slight nerd moment
It's like,
in order to answer this? Okay, so there have been studies. People are getting rich off of doing studies on how to fix problems, right? So there's all these studies that show that there's a correlation between crime and education. There's a correlation between crime and poverty. There's a correlation between crime and housing. And there's obviously some correlation in some places with crime and mental health, right? And then some of these tend to overlap with one another. So my thought process is the way that you deal with crime is a symptom of something else, right? Something else that's going on. So, if the area itself is blighted, meaning that there's been divestment, there's a lots of abandoned buildings, abandoned businesses, et cetera, et cetera. All of those things, you're going to have higher crime rates in those particular areas. So I don't think that the answer is to address crime directly, because most people's decision to address for crime is one of two things. All right, we need more police to throw more people in jail. But we already know that more people in jail does not necessarily decrease the crime rate, right? Because
neither does the death penalty.
Right, the death penalty doesn't. So jail is not really a deterrent, because if it was, we would have very little crime in the United States.
Now you are saying now.
Hold on, let me finish.
Okay.
Let me finish. So, what I'm saying is, there's a place for people to go to jail sometimes. I mean, it's the same as like I think sometimes people need to beat their kids, right? Like, everyone should suffer a consequence
Gotcha.
when you do a harm to another person.
Gotcha.
Figuring out what that consequence be, the consequence should always fit the crime, and the consequence should always be set up in such a way that it deters a continuation of you doing it again.
Isn't it the
Right?
Constitution that says it's not supposed to be cruel and unusual punishment?
Correct. The Eighth Amendment. Yes, it is very. So, with that being said, you asked me what I would do. At first, what I would want to do will not look like I'm trying to address crime, but it will. We have to address the poverty rate in the city of Philadelphia. We have to address the blightedness. We have to address the housing issue, right? You have to address it, because it is going to influence the other things. And here's part of the reason why. My master's degree is in criminal justice, and so I had to write my thesis for why that people commit crimes. Why does a person commit a crime in the first place? And so my theory is, one, we have to remember crime is breaking the law, right? So we have people in power who get to make the law, right? And they can make it whatever they want. I can make the law being black is a crime if I wanted to, right? But obviously we have all these other things that have said we can't do that anymore, but at one time that was a law, right? So barring that, putting that aside, I'm sorry, I'm being super nerdy, but I feel like it's important to explain the nuances, all of this. It's important for us to back up and look at, why does a person actually commit a crime? Usually it's because they have assessed in their mind that the consequence that they could possibly suffer is worth the benefit of doing this thing. They're making a calculation. Right? Did you ever get into a fist fight when you were a kid? When you were younger? Maybe. Oh, okay. So you were one of those. Okay, cool. So here's the thing. I was in a couple of fights when I was a kid, and even though I knew I could get suspended from school, which meant my mother was going to beat me, And then my dad was going to be me, and then I was going to get yelled at by everybody else. And then at church, I was not going to be allowed to participate in anything. And I would understand all that. There was a split second where I would choose that consequence was worth my reputation because this person disrespected. But you had a moment where you made a choice, right? We have to make it either so that people don't want to commit crimes. Their life is so good, right? It's one of the reasons that a lot of people, when you become middle class and affluent, you're less likely to commit some of those crimes because you start thinking, ooh, I might lose my house. My kids can't go to this nice school that I brought them here. I might lose my job. I might lose my car. But what happens when you don't have anything to lose? Right? What happens when you have everything around you is telling you that you are worthless, that you have no value? Who cares? Right? You don't care about your life. You don't care about the next person's life. I'm saying we got to address why do people feel like it is worth it to commit a crime? If we eliminate some of those things, we would be in a much better position. If we help set people up so their life feels like it's worth living, that they don't want to lose out on what they have because the consequence is going to take all of that away from them. The easiest one, we need small businesses in this neighborhood, right? So there's redlining. We need to make it hard for banks to redline in these lower income black communities. There needs to be real legal consequences for such behavior, right? We need the Department of Commerce in Philadelphia to really be educating people in these lower income neighborhoods on entrepreneurship and giving them the supports they need when they come with their ideas. I know I've talked to a number of people in this neighborhood who said, I wanted to start a business. I was told to go here so I can get help. Like I have an idea, but I've never owned a business before. I don't have an MBA. I don't know what to do. Oh yeah, call this number for the city of Philadelphia. You call that particular number, and they say, we're not the right place. You want to call the Enterprise Center. You call the Enterprise Center, and they say, no, we don't do that. You want to call these people. And so then after a while, you're like, well, I don't know how to get the supports I need to actually do it. So we put all these hurdles in place. I want to find where all the hurdles are and stop them. That's one. Two, I really want to look into what we are spending money on with our taxes. I keep bringing this up because I think if we invest some of these grants with the right group of people, meaning people who are actually going to empower people, not just give money to someone who's going to keep all of their money inside of their own entity, and then they give a little bit of money out. No, like I want, if you want me to find money for you, you need to show me how that little seed that I'm planting with you is going to grow and multiply for all the people surrounding you. We need to help people to start businesses in the neighborhoods that they live in, right? Why is that valuable? Because people, when they know you, so we talk about crime. When someone has a relationship with you, even those hood boys who might be a little bit, they're going to protect your store because you look out for them, they look out for you, right? Because they know you, they know your kids. They're much more likely to relate to you a little bit different, right? So that reduces crime. You have your lights on, you feel comfortable because when JoJo comes down the street acting up, you be like, come on, JoJo, what's going on? All right, sorry, Miss Cruel, my bad. I worked with teenagers, right? I worked with young people, and I'm telling you, for a number of them, it's not that they want to be criminals. They can't perceive something outside of that. We need programs that are going to invest in them. Some of the older people, some people are just so in the system. It's too hard to. Yeah. But some of the younger people, I'm telling you, if you right now go on one of these corners and walk up to some of the young boys that you know are selling drugs, which I have done, and ask them, what would you like to be doing? Actually, I walked up to somebody and I said, hey, I know someone who's offering jobs for farming, hemp farming, out in Western, Central Harrisburg area. They're paying $100 a day. And the guy was like, $100 a day. He's like, that sounds like a good job. Can I look out? And then as we started talking, he said, yeah, I was working here, but I got in trouble for this, and they let me go, and I got a newborn baby. Right? When people start having real conversation with these kids, you can start pointing them in the right direction. Start mentoring them. Can you imagine if the black speaking specifically to black people, right? If every black person who is middle class or upper class picked one younger person who is struggling in lower and say, I'm going to invest in you the same way I would invest in a business or invest in my own child. Just pick one. We make a difference. And I feel like that's what I do through mentoring.
We can, I've been on here about this numerous times. And, you know, one of the pet peeves for some is gentrification.
Yeah.
But Philadelphia, believe it or not, does have a lot of resources.
It does.
It has an abundant amount.
You also have a lot of corruption.
Just the fact in pockets. You have a lot of lip action. These people that I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, I'm doing that. And it was a gentleman that did a Facebook Live, and I couldn't take it no more. I really couldn't. You know, finally somebody within council recognized him, and I'm not going to name names, but they finally recognized him. I'm sitting there like, So he brought it out there, you know, I want to do this. I asked him, you know, with the money that you had, what have you been doing?
You got it.
And then I want to know, how are your, can you have documentation that your organization has improved these
Has actually.
has, and I didn't get a response.
Right. That's
I
right.
asked the question because I used to be a part of you.
Right.
So I was behind the scenes, so I
Right.
could see behind the scenes, which a lot of people on the outside looking in, first thing you say is, oh my gosh, that house looks nice.
Right.
You open the door and the
That's
phone
right.
face, you got roaches all over the place,
That's
roaches
right.
all over, but on the outside it looks good, you go inside, it's like,
So here, this is what I say to people privately all the time. And you've probably heard of the prison industrial complex, right? My statement is, if you are a nonprofit or any type of mission-based organization, right, even social enterprise, your goal should be to put yourself out of business, right? Because you started a business for the purpose of solving a problem. If you're not working to put yourself out of business, you're not working to solve a problem. That makes sense. So if I'm a nonprofit, so let's say I open up this nonprofit. No, a nonprofit. I'm talking about a nonprofit. So if I open up a nonprofit and I say, I'm going to help reduce juvenile delinquency in the city of Philadelphia. If after 10, 15, 20 years, it hasn't reduced, you're not doing your job, right? Because you should be working to put yourself out of business. I have a social entrepreneurship law firm, right? Now you can modify your mission, and that makes sense. I understand that. But when I started, my goal was to. It's hard for me to try to put myself out of business, but in my head, my goal was to educate people enough that I would have to get rid of certain aspects of my business because I solved that thing, right? You should be working to put yourself out of business. If your job, if you say that I'm going to help increase the education level of black children between the ages of 3 to 15 years old, I get it. There are going to be new kids that come in, but over the years, you should see a change in the knowledge level for all of Philadelphia because you should be touching so many people that you see a change. And I'll give you a perfect example. I'm a product of the Prime program. Do you remember? Are you from Philly? Do you remember the Prime program? It was minorities engineering. They had it in some of the. Okay. So they had it in some of the schools. It started in the 70s. It ended around like 1996. I was a part of it in middle school. But I consider that a program that was quite successful. It had a nonprofit component, had the universities attached to it, it had businesses that were attached to it, and it had some government funding, but the government stopped funding it. But the goal, their real goal, they used engineering as the carrot, but their real goal was to get as many African American, minority children, Hispanic, whatever, women as well, into college. They said engineering, but the goal was to get many of them into college. My class, that was a Prime class, I believe that 95% of us, not only we went to college, and then a good portion of us, now most of us had parents, actually Jamie Gaultier, she went to, she just won in the third district. She beat Janie Blackwell. She was in my middle school class. She was one of the people in the class. Most of us not only went to college, but many of us have 2 degrees, 3 degrees. We were kids that weren't necessarily expected to get college degrees, but the program was intended to get it. If you ask people throughout Philadelphia, how many of you went through the prime program, and then ask them, do you have a college degree? I'm gonna bet that more than 75% of those people will say yes. That's a successful program. Right? What I'm saying is we need to, I think that we're not spending money on successful programs. I think people's friends are starting nonprofits and they can get money. That's what but
I don't think that. I know that. I really believe that a vast majority of start off
with good intentions.
Like some of these politicians, the really comes to flag, that needs to feel powerful, or just I don't know, but there needs to be something more done. I would love you to go in office within your first 3 days. I know it's really hard. How to weed out some of these nonprofits who are.
I would love to. Listen. I'm telling you, if you want to talk to something that makes me so angry, I wish some people that knew me were in this room now. If you want to talk about me ranting about something, I hate wasting time and money.
Yes.
Those are 2 things that you can't get it back. And once it's gone, it's gone, right? And even I can't stand it. And so the question I often get is, how are you going to be different? How are you going to be different? And I said, the real thing is that some people are really motivated by power, they're motivated by money, they're motivated by, they love for people to love them, right? Like it makes them feel good. You know what really makes me feel good? Like I'm on top of the world when I inspire someone to be better. So when I give you something that you didn't already have, and it makes your life better, that is the only time I feel really good. And if I'm not making somebody's life better, I actually start to get kind of depressed. And people have to say, Carla, you're helping people, right? You are helping people. And I'm like, it's not enough. The world is still falling apart. I need to fix it, right? I can't. And this is what 41-year-old Carla has learned. A sower goes out and sows seed. Some falls on good ground, some falls on bad ground, and some gets taken away. I recognize that I have to keep planting the seeds because I don't know where the good fertile ground is. But you plant the seeds anyway, and you trust that other people are going to come in and they're going to water it, and they're going to feed it, and they're going to grow it. And so all I really want to do is put in the new infrastructure, a basis, an infrastructure upon which we can expect something different, and then other people can come behind me and do greater things than I ever could be. I want to open the door for better to start happening and do some of the work in the process. Yeah.
Now I read Philadelphia, I believe, had fired. They had fired, I believe, let's say 12. It was more. They fired 12 police officers. We were like, yes, thank you, yes, finally. Oh my gosh. One of the police officers they had fired, allegedly, had in his custody a minor.
Yeah.
Prostitution.
Yes, I read that.
She's already in my custody.
Mine as well.
So he was one of those that were fired, and then I go on and I find out, according to the news, they rehired all of the ones they fired. So I'm like, how do you get these union people to stop rehiring? Here's the thing, they're going to fire them all day long, and they go, I don't know. They go somewhere else and still be picked up, but how do we get this stop? Because that's one of the things, if you have some sort of power to work on. That's what I want.
Yes, I'm with you on that. I can tell you that I also felt that when I was a school teacher, that there were some teachers that really needed to go, and they got transferred to other schools. The last school I taught at, there was a teacher who the kids called free baller. and he played gym with the kids with no underwear. And every single time the kids there was a complaint made, the union came to his rescue and he stayed. And then eventually he threw a kid's head into a door. The kid, he was in a closed class and the kid had some mental health issues. And he didn't like the way the teacher stood over top of him. He couldn't handle it emotionally. But he had mental health issues. And so the kid kept screaming, get away from me. He pushes the teacher loses it, and throws the kid's head into a window. And he also did not get fired. So this is not something that only happens. I don't know what happened to him. I know that two years before, or a year and a half before, we were all like, why is it? I had no idea why the kids kept saying, yo, it's free baller over there. I was like, I didn't know what free balling was. And then somebody said, oh, he plays basketball with us with no underwear. I'm like, wait, what? So anyway, the answer to I would love to work with her. I actually was in a restaurant last week talking to a police officer. She was saying, we don't want the bad ones there either. Like they make us look bad. And whenever, even we're not even allowed to speak up and say let them go. And so this is not a popular answer. But I have to tell the truth because this is who I am. I feel like in Philadelphia, the people at the top of the union, the ones that meet with all the politicians, they work steals out. All the people on the bottom, the critical mass of the people, don't necessarily agree with what happens. I would like to, and I know I'm not supposed to, but I feel like it's the only way we can get results, is circumvent that and go down to the bottom and ask, how do I help you influence your leaders to actually follow through what you guys want, rather than the agenda of the elected officials or political maneuvering. And so I know a number of police officers, and they all keep saying, we don't want to work with bad cops. We don't want. They can't. Right. Right. And it was the same. I'm telling you, even as a teacher, we had no lie. When I was in high school, there was a teacher who got in trouble because he got caught driving a female student home for school. Right? No, especially not when she's 16 and you're 24, because you're a young teacher, right? So they're found out in front, right? No, he was in his 30s. I become a teacher, so now that was high school. I become a teacher, and while I'm a teacher, we hear all these rumors of, so there's a teacher over at Germantown High School that just got fired. Why? So we found out he was buying drugs from the kids in the school, and he was sleeping with one of the girls in school. Same teacher that they had issues with when I was in high school. Why wasn't he fired? Why is 15 years later, 10 years later, is he still working? Right? So I don't know how we get. Again, I feel like it's a leadership issue. How do we get people in leadership who work for the people beneath them instead of working other people's agendas?
Homelessness. You know what? Let's stop that.
Yeah.
We have
Fix it.
these drug epidemics. Centers and like I don't know.
I was going to say that.
To an addiction, and that's like, I'm not trying to degrade anyone. I used to drink Pepsi like those little bars. And I literally woke up and was like, I had it. When I realized I had it, I had to stop. But that was close.
Right.
But I had no idea what it was like being an addict. I don't know what it was like. I can just from that little experience I had, what a craving feels like. But the things that are going on that I'm seeing, literally, almost for downtown, Northeast is like, whoo. But to see them to just
falling over, falling asleep. You haven't fallen asleep standing up.
When McDonald's community after they modeled it, it's just like a pit stop for them. And it's ridiculous because they have all signs that say no loitering, but you can't go in. They're doing drug transactions right there in the parking lot.
You mean like 52nd and Parkside too? The McDonald's is there too? You telling that story too?
First days, I got a lot.
Yeah.
And I know you whatever it is that you deem should be on the top list. And there's a lot. Crime, the homelessness, the drugs, our teens, programs, nonprofits,
The first thing I'm gonna do is look at the budget and do stuff with the budget. But here's how I'm gonna answer that budget is crazy. But here's how I'll answer the opioid thing. I don't know. My answer is I don't know. I don't know what the solution is. My hope is to gather experts in the field, right? I think I'm a good read. If I get time to just listen and I'm not in a sort of desperate situation, I can read BS pretty quickly. I can tell when somebody's just saying stuff. So I feel like that's the gift that I can give to Philly is filter through the BS for them. And so one of the things I would love to do is get some of these experts. I know some experts are going to present things that benefit them, and I can tell when you're doing that. But I want some real caretakers who understand no addiction, know the story, know all of that, and get them in the room and say, what do we really do? Right. So I met a woman while campaigning who works at one of the meth clinics. She's a nurse, and she said to me, "Can I just tell you, we're not helping." She's a nurse. She's like, we're not helping. And she said, and even when we as nurses, we as people who are entrenched there, go to our bosses and try to tell them what some things that need to be put in place, the things that we need to be better. No one listens to us. No one listens to people who, no one listens to the people who are doing the work. So I want to bring in those people. One of my cousins, she works in that field. She's a psychologist or counselor or something. And I said, I need you to give me a group of people and just talk to me and tell me, what do we do about this? Because it's not just they're getting on my nerves, I'm scared they're going to steal stuff, and I'm scared they're going to hurt themselves in the middle of the street, right? It's not just that. But it's also like, when people are this addicted, right, that's a good section of our society that are not contributing to society, right? And that's families that are broken down, that's children who are not interacting with their parents anymore, who are going to school and misbehaving because they miss their mom and dad, right? It's a systemic issue that affects us all, but everybody wants to be an expert, and none of us really are, right? So I'm like, right, so my answer is, I don't know how to fix it. I want to talk to people who probably no one has ever listened to and ask them, how do we really fix this? I'm okay with saying I don't know. I'm old enough.
Somebody they don't know, rather than make it seem like you do know when you don't know, because eventually you're going to be a pain in our side. Let's get you in the office and an election is coming up.
It's Tuesday.
It's Tuesday, November 5th. No excuse.
November 5th.
Vote. So, pool leader,
521.
521 for Carla Pool. And you'll be representing
District 4.
District 4.
So I can fix your park. So it's 54th and Market Street all the way over to the edge of the city, 63rd Street, and all of this county line, all the way up to 75th, 78th, or whatever, to the county line, City Avenue, and then Allegheny West, from 33rd and Lehigh over to 24th and Lehigh. Wait, I ain't even done. Go straight up 24th Street, cross over to Fox, go up to Wissahickon Avenue, and everything west of Wissahickon Avenue, all the way up to Roxborough. So I got a little bit of Mount Airy in there, North Philly. Listen, it's huge, ginormous. Yeah. It's a lot of voters, like 110,000. You know what? Let me say this one thing. I got to say it once. I am for breaking this district down. If I could help split this district up, I will do it. And even though people say that won't benefit you, no, it's not fair. It's not fair. No one person can truly represent all of those. Yeah, that's wrong.
A small portion of
North Philly. Yeah.
Okay, so this is all over
Yep. You got North Philly, you got Allegheny, Manioc, East Falls, Roxborough, Wissahickon, which is like next to Manioc. No city. City line, all the city lines, so Overbrook Park, Overbrook Farms, Overbrook, Winfield Heights.
Wow.
All that is huge.
Yeah, so you have a lot to, yeah, you have a lot. And the thing is, not all those dishes have the same issues. Some of them are cool.
Yeah.
You know, you can, but then you have a lot of hurdles more down here than you do.
Well, I'll give you an example. Underdevelopment here, overdevelopment there. There's so many people there, they can't even breathe anymore. The air quality is not as good because there's so many people they put up there.
But they're trying to fix down here to mimic up there, so, yeah.
After we leave.
Gentrification, homelessness, we touched on, but what are you planning on for us as some for it, some don't like it at all?
No, so first of all, always going to say this. There's a difference between gentrification and community revitalization. People have confused them. I am all for community revitalization. I think most people are. Gentrification is the forced displacement of people where they have no say in what the future of their area looks like, right? So they don't get to be a part of it. Somebody else determines it, and it's fixed for the taste of those who are coming, not for those who are already there, right? So I think the components, the key element, if we were going to make a recipe, put some batter for how do you stop gentrification, you need to deal with redlining of businesses. You have to open businesses. So one of the things that makes gentrification helpful, people only think of it in the housing context. But what you do is you degrade the neighborhood itself so it becomes cheaper to buy the houses at less so then you can sell them at more so you get more money from them, right? So one of the ways that you degrade a neighborhood is actually to make sure there are no businesses in that neighborhood, right? And when there are no businesses, when there are a lot of abandoned properties, so people will buy a house and sit on it, not fix it up, let it fall apart, because they can fix it up later. They got the money, but they make it look abandoned, right? What happens when it's dark and there's no lights? Crime. So now you have an increase in crime because you have no businesses. Let's use some fake place. Maybe let's call it Lansdowne Avenue, right? So you get rid of all of the thriving businesses there. You let people buy houses via sheriff sale. And $15,000 a pop because they'll be able to flip it at $115,000, right? And then you create all of the infrastructure for people to be able to have something for cheap, right? Let it degrade. Remember, it takes time. Gentrification takes years. So usually when the people are going to feel it, that all of the infrastructure and the work's already been done. Right? So it's 20, 30 years in time. Right. So I call District 4. One of the reasons I ran as a district and not a city at large person is because I think District 4 is in pre-gentrification, meaning the foundation has been laid for it, but we can do things to reverse it. It's not far enough along that you can't stop some things. South Philadelphia, Point Breeze, gone, right? They can they can go sue in court, but you can kind of hang it up, right? It's kind of gone. We are still in just the foundational stuff that we can go in and fix it. One of those things, that big thing for me, is help people start businesses in the neighborhood, right? Because it's going to make the property value go up. So that person who was trying to wait for everything to bottom out, fix it up and flip it real quick, they're not going to have the money to do it because their property values are going to have gone up in that period of time. Make sense?
Let me ask you this. Is it, that's just my misconception, or maybe it's just me, but is it because by me being a business owner in a residential that business owners seem to have a little bit more say so, or
they do,
or come out more feisty than a homeowner?
You do, well, because everything affects you,
right?
Right. If the houses go down, it affects you. The houses go up, it affects you, right? So what happens 2 blocks over is not necessarily going to affect a homeowner, but it is going to affect the business owner. So I think that's part of the reason why you have more investment in it. But like, I'll just say this last thing about gentrification. So we're over here in West Philly, right? Can you imagine, think about, this is predominantly a black neighborhood. There are other people, but it's predominantly black, right?
Yes.
We love having parties and going to parties, right?
Yes.
When you have a party, what do you need? Party material. You need
Yes.
decorations and all that. Where do you buy that in this neighborhood? Okay, your Mother's Day comes along. We love to get candy.
Yeah.
We love to get flower. Where do you buy fresh flowers in this neighborhood? Where do you get candy in this neighborhood? Okay, we love to get dressed up and go out, right? We love to look good. Where you buy your clothes? Where do you buy your sneakers? Around here, in walking distance, right? Where can you just get out and go and do this? We like gym and work and doing stuff, and then you tend to have a number of us who start to become super healthy and to yoga, all of those things. Where are all of those places here in walking distance that you can go, do your little thing, run home, take a shower, and then go to work?
Downtown.
Right?
Yeah.
Why isn't it here, but we do it? We do it with our lives. We just got to jump in our car and go to everybody else's neighborhood to do those exact same things. We love to eat. We love to eat out. Where are our restaurants where we can sit down and eat, enjoy some jazz music, enjoy some live performances in our neighborhoods? It's not here. So if you want to stop gentrification, help people keep their homes, right? And help, that was the other part. We have to help people keep their homes. That's another way. But we gotta help people start businesses in this community.
And November the 5th.
November the 5th, you
gotta
vote for
get out and
Carla.
vote.
You can vote, but even if you don't want to vote for me, you need to be there because this is a big election. People don't realize how big it is, but it's very big.
Everyone, I think, is up for grabs.
Everything's-
Every seat except for the mayor.
No, mayor is there too. It's just state reps aren't. So you got mayor, the sheriff, you got at large, you have judges. You have judges for retention,
yes.
which means they will stay on the bench for the next 10 years. You have 4 ballot questions that you need to answer. So a lot of stuff you need to be there.
I don't really like judges sitting on.
I don't
for
either.
that long period of time.
I don't either.
I think that's too long.
And so a lot of the judges that are seeking retention, not really great. There's one that's really wonderful, love her, but some of them are so-so, and there's some that are really
I had
bad.
Gregory Meyer on here, and he gave me a little insight on some of the stuff that I didn't know as far as being a judge. And he's like, oh, okay, that sort of kind of sucks, but
We need to stop electing our judges. I just need to tell you that.
we need to stop.
We have to stop because they run by a party, so the party helps them get in, and they're supposed to be bipartisan all at the same.
Yeah. So we have homelessness. We have the addiction. We have the police. We have gentrification. We have communities. We have nonprofits. You have a lot on your hands, and then you gave me the whole map of your district in West Philly is just a small
Sliver
just
of
a
it.
small
Yeah,
sliver
but
of
it's
it.
my home. I mean, it's where I
your
grew
home,
up.
and then you are out city line and everywhere else. So all I can say is November the 5th, I believe everyone that's capable of voting should come out and vote. There should be no exceptions. I don't hear any excuses. You know, there are plenty of people out here saying, hey, we can provide transportation.
Yes.
So get to these polling places and leave early polling.
521 Carla Cruel, Karll, KC. Just remember,
Yeah,
KC, Carla Cruel.
Yes.
Don't be cruel. It'll help you remember, right?
No, don't be cruel.
I feel like the other city council people might think that I'm cruel, but you will not believe that I'm cruel because I care.
Well, she's gonna be cruel on crime.
Yeah.
She's gonna be cool on making sure, everything that needs to be done for her people, her constituents,
yeah.
to y'all who vote her in. She's gonna be cool to make sure that you get a chance to hear her.
Yeah, we always have to remember. Just imagine what you would be like if your mom never spanked you.
I wouldn't just say it would have already been said. Some of these elected officials need to be out. They've been in there it's not just, it's every seat that's in. They've been in there for so long. It's just like, whatever. I'm just here, to do whatever I can do.
Or they're trying to build to the next place. This is my starting place.
this is it.
I'm gonna go to the next one, and they don't care about you.
Thinking outside of the box.
Yeah.
They're not really helping us. So November
November the 5th, Tuesday.
Tuesday. What
Vote.
time?
You can have from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. You can vote. Yeah, so go before you go to work, go after
No
work,
excuse.
go for lunch.
No excuse.
I think Oh, today was the last day. If you needed an absentee ballot, you could have done an absentee ballot as well.
If they have one, they can
If you
take it to
have
the
one,
street, right?
yep, you can
drop it off.
drop it off.
Drop it off.
They'll still count it.
They'll still count it. Get your vote in November 5th. Anything you want to say?
No.
Besides, congratulations.
Yeah,
speech all together.
I do. I will be your next city council person because I know that if I don't get in, we will not be able to live here in the next 4 years. It will not be a welcome place for us, myself included. So you need me to win because I am going to help you take your city back.
She didn't say it. I'm saying it. It's necessary. But I thank you for coming out here. It was cool.
My pleasure. It was great.
And when you win,
we'll come back and deal with this part.
Because now her foot is already in the door.
Yes.
We just got to get the rest of her in, but that's not until January. But it's okay.
Yeah.
We just need to get you over the hurdle.
And gives me some staff.
Yeah, get some staff and get this stuff going. But I don't do wishing. Much
Neither
success.
do I.
So that's the best I
Thank
can
you.
say is that I can't wait until you get into office because I'm gonna be like, technically I can't vote for y'all because I'm still a Delaware resident, but
That's fine.
I can still knock on your door like, how you doing, Miss Cooper?
But you can have my cell. I'll give my cell out to anybody. It's 215-629-6349. If you have questions, concerns, or things that you just need to tell me are important, I'll listen.
Okay, I've never had that one before, but it's the first time for everything. But don't worry about it. You will be able to catch her when she's in office, and
That's right.
feel free to. Do you have an open door policy?
I probably will because of the way I'm gonna set up my office. Y'all just wait. Y'all gonna be super excited. I'm gonna make all of the other city council people jealous. Like, why didn't I think about doing it that way?
Yeah, she does that.
Yeah.
2020, she does that
Yeah.
one. But anyway, I appreciate you coming out here. It was cool. I really do. Thank you for coming back out. I gotta have you come back out. Actually, come back on after you won the
After I
election,
won.
November the 5th. So, man, shout out love to you and
Thank you.
and all your supporters and fans and family and your cousin Sergio.
Sergio, yes, that's my cousin.
So in the meantime, and all of in between time, I'm going to take a pause for the cause, and I'll be back.